We're going to now move on to Rushab Shah, who is the CEO and founder of OneHive, an AI-powered education and development platform that supports 25,000 end beneficiaries unlock their potential in emerging industries. With his experience leading international programs, such as a £34 million zero-emission trucking program across Europe, he found that solutions must be localized to solve the true challenges faced across the globe. With family roots in Kenya, he launched OneHive Africa to localize the system to serve one of the most dynamic markets in Africa. Designed to enable complex ecosystems to mobilize and scale up educational programs, for example, supporting Sudanese refugees in Ethiopia, upskilling Rwandan girls to overcome period poverty, enabling a community mental well-being initiative for young people in Uganda. Rushab's firm belief that tech for good is the enabler to driving lasting change by bridging UK innovation with African market opportunities for scalable, sustainable impact. Please join me in welcoming Rushab to the stage.
No pressure after that intro. Wow. Guests, honourable dignitaries, those innovators, leaders in the room, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to share a little bit about what we're doing and what we are trying to do. Obviously, Eric, can't see you here, but that was phenomenal. And it's great because we're carrying on the theme of education, which I believe is fundamental. But let's start with a bit of who am I? So it's a loaded question, right? So who are you? Where are you from? All that stuff. So I'll start with my background. I'm a mechanical engineer, curious innovator, Formula One background, but I'm quite fortunate and I've got a few links here. So I'm the first generation born in the UK, from my parents who were born in Kenya, and my grandparents were born in India. So there's a bit of a journey already, and it's just personally I've been exploring my journey, the heritage, the little bits of that trail that have, the stuff from India that came to Kenya, the stuff from Kenya that came to the UK. It's been fantastic and phenomenal. And when I made a specific conscious decision about starting what we're doing in the UK, the why, there are reasons why, and then the shift into starting to grow a team out in Kenya, because I do fundamentally believe that that's where the growth is. I think one term that we're seeing struggles in the West, and we talked about it earlier, don't look west, don't look east, look forward. And we have to look at what is coming up. So the flag on here is a Trini flag. So my fiance is from Trinidad. So all of a sudden, this is the conference to a T. David, you must be so happy to hear, right? African, Caribbean, in the UK, and yeah, so as a UK-born tech founder, and that's got roots and heritage and now links across the entire bit, I do feel like that is my role and why I'm really excited to share a little bit more. So yesterday was really interesting, and there's a lot in here around resilience, growth, core infrastructure, that bridge, be it through ships or digitally, and all the things that we need to do financially to allow things to connect. The clear thread is that collaborative nature. Through renewable energy, climate, agro-processing, finance, etc., that's where it needs to be. And everything down to the stuff that Darwin was talking about yesterday around port management, Matamp City, the innovations that are there, the exciting stuff that Lauren, Laven's insights about capacity building, blended finance. There is so much to be happy about and excited about, and I am excited. But I chose this image on purpose. This is when I looked up what is innovation, what does it look like? And you see a story, and I'll come over from an Englishman with a pitchfork, Edison light. This is how innovation is shown to us. This is the narrative. But it's starting to change. The tech scene is now shifting that. And one of the fundamental problems is the innovation that was driven by an Anglo mindset is fundamentally one of extraction. We remove stuff. We take stuff out. Yeah, so we dig, we keep digging, we dig, we get to Australia, right? If you keep digging. So that's not going to work. And then you look at even the tech scene and the narrative around tech scene. Like, 22 trillion is the market cap of the Magic Seven. The 7 biggest companies on the S&P 500. That is huge. Don't quote me on this, but I think I read somewhere Africa's GDP is like 3 trillion. So there's 7 companies in the US that are 7x the entire continent. So what do, right? We need a change. And we need to re-own the narrative, and things will be better. So I've been given my 5 minutes, which is way unfair. So we'll go through this very quickly. On the left, you've got Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For those economists in the room, the fundamental piece is the problem. We don't have enough water, we don't have enough shelter, we don't have enough food, the air is struggling, etc. The flip side, a McKinsey report, is all about where are the growth sectors? E-commerce, AI software, cloud services, EVs, etc. There's a direct disconnect here between the practices and things we fundamentally need as humans to survive and where capital is looking to grow over the next 15 to 20 years. But if we think back to our heritage, we solved a lot of these problems. Our ancestors solved a lot of these problems. Circular economy wasn't a buzzword, it was a way of life. And I think this is where I want to talk about briefly around this narrative of tech for good. Technology is something that we should own. It's something that we can use and deploy to scale up educational initiatives like Eric was talking about, to bring Matap City to life. And if we don't do that, we are going to struggle. And so if you think about growth, on this diagram here, that is not a straight line. If we think about how quickly things are innovating, if I invest today in Africa or the Caribbean, I'm not dealing with tech debt. I'm not dealing with old infrastructure, 3G towers. We're into 6G, 7G, right? We're not dealing with those things. The opportunity, think about opportunities Jamaica has right now, and the capital, the 150 million in that first fund that Carib were talking about yesterday, that can go into new infrastructure, not fixing old infrastructure. There is an opportunity to leapfrog, but the one bit we have to do is we have to underpin it with skills. Talent and skills is what's going to drive it. So the decisions that are made today by those in the room are those that are going to decide how the next 15, 20 years, in a new world order, which is changing, whether you like it or not, and all the stuff about trade tariffs, etc., the dollar isn't as strong as it was. The hold is not the same. You're seeing China claiming they're now a developed country. We're no longer BRICS, right? So the world is changing. Our position within this room, the African, the Caribbean, we own the natural resources, as long as we don't let others take them. Yeah, for now. The value in those resources isn't just selling them as raw, it's creating the phone on top of that small bit of silicon. It's building your own automotive sector, not just buying them in or bringing in old rickshaws from India, which is really funny. I was in Mombasa recently, and there's all these rickshaws. These are 2-stroke rickshaws. They are so polluting and bad for air quality. Why they're in Kenya, I've got no idea. Yet this is what we're doing to ourselves. We're harming ourselves with our own short-sightedness. So tech needs to be good. And so frameworks like looking at growth, looking at capacity building, and what we're doing with OneHive as a tech for good organization to power educational initiatives, it's all about streamlining delivery. We heard yesterday about a port where the individual, Darwin, was able to turn that from 19 million to 70 million, driven by operational efficiencies. He didn't lay a single person off out of the 400 staff. He phased them out onto retirement in a structured, feasible way. They're all on final pension salaries. No one got left behind. But you have to think about processes and systems. Second to that is we've got to provide evidence to our financiers. It's all well and good the money being there, but unless you can give them more than an impact report after a year, you're going to struggle to evidence the impact you're driving. Capacity for building scale. It's all about this. It's all well and good having the capacity, but if you can't scale with it, it's useless. And then within that is longevity and resilience. Is what we're building going to last? Not for the next governmental cycle, not for the next regime, for the next 50, 100 years. But underpinned by all of that is complex data. That is the bottom of the iceberg and the real value. If we can own our data and we can understand it, we can use it to drive better decisions, then we've got a fighting chance. And I'll just end with a couple of examples. So some of the things we're working on from Child's Eye Foundation, which is a community-driven well-being approach in mental health for young people. We're not taking the Western therapists and applying that model there. We're empowering the community, the pastors, the grandmas, the mums, those leaders within that community to be the support infrastructure, but giving them the tools that they need. All the way through to Horizon Haven, which is a project with 400 South Sudanese refugees in Ethiopia, and the vision is to build a sustainable city from the ground up. ASAP is an interesting project around using monitoring and evaluation, big tech. But the really interesting one that brings this together is something we're doing with Auto Express. So we're at the High Commission of Jamaica with a JAMPRO conversation and a trade delegation, sometimes they do these things work. We connected with Niritech there. A week later, we've got an MVP of a bit of tech that we didn't have integrated into our system, so we can now go and serve a private equity-backed firm in Kenya called Auto Express, who are scaling from 700 to 1,500 employees over the next 2 years. Think about that, right? Thanks. We're bridging that gap. We're leveraging the best tech that we can find through the community that we've got to solve problems and drive growth. The top things are all about, let's solve problems, let's help those who are unserved. What about raising the ceiling? This is what we're doing here. Private equity funding comes in, let's use the capital effectively. I'm going to skip past this, but this is the impact framework that we use. If anyone wants to talk about this, please do come and talk to me. It's breaking barriers to scale, not just personalized learning, but being more personalized and tailored in what we're doing, and localized, and then empowering tech for good. So my ask for the room, I can't come up here and not ask you to do something, because this is about what this conference is about. It's moving, it's shaking, it's innovating. It's your time to build better. We can't do the same things that we've done in the same way, at the same speed, again. It's not going to work. So yes, tech can be used for good, but you need to have that by design at the core. So if we don't do that, we're going to struggle. So I'd love to have a conversation with you all. I'd love to do more in Trinidad. I've got to find my fiance a reason to go back to the Caribbean now. Kenya's here, and we're using that across Africa. The opportunity's here. So what I'd ask is, don't just embrace the change, but be the change. Thank you.